Welcome back. So, you know the classic story. You spend months, maybe years, down in the basement building the absolute perfect app. You're tweaking every single pixel. You finally launch it and, well, nothing. Look, if you're building a product, a SaaS, or a startup right now, you already know creating the thing is only half the battle, right? Getting eyeballs on it is the whole other half. So today in this explainer, we are unlocking something super valuable. The F9XR team's highly anticipated 2026 list of the best startup directories and product launch sites. We're going to build the ultimate playbook for finding your first real users, getting that crucial feedback, and, importantly, securing those long-term SEO backlinks that will sustain your business for years. Okay, let's dive into this. We really have to talk about that core fear that keeps every founder awake at night. You know the feeling. You spend all this time writing code, fixing bugs, and designing the UI. Then you hit publish. You're waiting for this massive flood of eager users, and instead, crickets. It's totally silent. It's a brutal, frustrating experience that honestly breaks a lot of great startups. But here's the good news. It is completely avoidable, as long as you know exactly where the internet's early adopters actually hang out today and how to get your product in front of them. To make sure you never launch to silence again, we've broken this explainer down into a really straightforward 6-part roadmap. We're going to cover 1. The product launch problem. 2. The history of directories. 3. The types of directories. 4. The 2026 top platforms. 5. The launch playbook. And 6. Automated versus manual submissions.
Starting with part 1, the product launch problem and why visibility is hands down your biggest hurdle.
The internet is unbelievably crowded right now, and how people search is totally changing. We aren't just optimizing for standard Google anymore. We are officially living in the AEO era. That's Answer Engine Optimization. This is all about getting cited by AI tools. Think ChatGPT, Claude, and Perplexity. Here's how it actually works. When a user asks an AI, hey, what's the best new CRM for small businesses? That AI isn't just taking a wild guess. It's actively scraping high-authority directories to pull the most credible answer. By getting your product listed across those trusted launch platforms, you're literally feeding the machine the exact data it needs to recommend you. Honestly, if you aren't in those directories, you basically don't exist in the AI's worldview. It's an absolute game changer for search visibility. All right, moving on to part 2, the history of directories, going from simple links to full-blown AI ecosystems. It is wild to see how fast this whole space has evolved. I mean, think back to the early 2000s. Launch directories were basically just static lists thrown together by webmasters, like a digital phone book, right? Then 2012 hits and everything shifts. Ryan Hoover starts Product Hunt as a simple email list, and practically overnight it becomes the absolute epicenter for tech discovery. Throughout the 2010s, we saw this massive explosion of really niche platforms for SaaS, mobile apps, and indie makers. But now, in 2026, these are not just static lists anymore. They are interconnected AIO ecosystems. They drive those first users, build massive SEO authority, and, like we just talked about, provide crucial training data for artificial intelligence tools. Next up, part 3, types of directories and finding your perfect launchpad. Since there are well over 100 viable platforms out there right now, we kind of have to organize them to keep our sanity. And this brilliantly illustrates how we can break them into 3 main buckets. First, you've got your general platforms, stuff like Product Hunt and Beta List. These have huge audiences. They're your absolute go-tos for broad, viral exposure and catching early adopters who just love testing new things. Second bucket, SaaS and tech platforms. Things like G2, Capterra, and SaaSub. This is where enterprise buyers go when they actually have a budget and are actively researching software. If you want highly qualified, high-ticket leads, you have to be here. And finally, niche and indie platforms. Think PeerList or Microlaunch, tighter communities, super high engagement rates, and you get that invaluable, honest peer feedback that can completely reshape your product roadmap. So what does this all mean for you? The takeaway is incredibly simple but absolutely crucial. You have to match your product to the platform. You wouldn't try to pitch a $10,000 a month enterprise compliance tool to casual scrollers looking for a slick new habit tracker. That compliance tool belongs on G2 or Capterra, but a highly visual, fun consumer app that is perfectly built for the viral mechanics of Product Hunt. Aligning what you built with who is scrolling is exactly how you turn empty clicks into actual high-converting users. Let's jump into part 4, the 2026 top platforms, exactly where you need to be listed today. Grab a pen because these are your essential targets right now, straight from the F9XR team's latest data. Product Hunt, Beta List, and Hacker News. These are your absolute heavyweights. You have to be there for early traction. But what if you want to capture specific software communities? Then you need Microlaunch and SaaS Hub. And please, do not ignore G2 and Capterra if you want any level of enterprise credibility. Rounding out the list, you'll definitely want to hit Peerlist, Launching Next, and AppSumo. Being on all these different platforms doesn't just maximize your immediate reach, it permanently builds a compounding backlink profile. It tells search engines and AI that your product is highly authoritative. Okay, part 5, the launch playbook, how to actually execute a winning submission. So how do we actually pull this off? Here is a highly strategic 5-step playbook. Step 1, prepare those launch assets. We're talking high-quality visuals, a crisp demo video, and a tagline that hooks the viewer in literally 2 seconds. In 2026, this is non-negotiable. Step 2, optimize your product page. Before you drive a single drop of traffic there, make sure your call to actions are obvious and your onboarding is totally seamless. First impressions happen in milliseconds. Step 3, time it strategically. Data shows peak directory activity happens midweek, Tuesday through Thursday. So aim for those high traffic windows. Step 4, engage the community. Do not just post and ghost. Reply to every comment, thank people genuinely for their feedback, and just be an active participant. And step 5, track your results. Use UTM parameters on your links. That way you'll know exactly which directory drove the most signups, and you can double down on what actually works.
Finally, part 6, automated versus manual submissions. How to save time without tanking your quality.
Now, if you were to sit down today and manually submit your startup to all the directories on the F9XR master list, just think about what that involves. Writing unique profiles for different audiences, resizing every single image for different site dimensions, passing endless CAPTCHAs for over 100 sites, you are looking at well over 40 hours of mind-numbing, grueling work. For a busy founder who really needs to be hyper-focused on shipping features or closing sales, that is a massive, crushing bottleneck. Because of that huge bottleneck, a lot of founders are tempted to just use automated bot software. I'll say this as clearly as I can, do not do it. Bots are a total disaster. They trip spam filters faster than you can blink, submit broken links or incomplete profiles, and run a very real risk of getting your brand permanently shadow banned from the exact platforms you need most. Manual submission is truly the only way to go. It guarantees high-quality, customized listings, ensures you actually get approved, and secures those permanent SEO backlinks safely. So the crucial point is figuring out how to bridge the gap between needing that strict manual quality and not having 40 hours of free time to spare. Well, this is exactly where the F9XR We Do For You strategy comes in. Think of it as a brilliant life hack for founders. Instead of sacrificing a whole week of your life, their team manually does all the heavy lifting. They submit your product to over 100 top directories, entirely by hand, no shortcuts. This guarantees your quality backlinks, drives highly targeted traffic, and positions you perfectly for AEO growth alongside tools like ChatGPT and Claude. Plus, you get a complete report of everything they did, while you get to stay entirely focused on building. It's basically a system that works 24/7 to build compounding returns without you having to burn through your cash on recurring paid ads. Which leaves us with one final, incredibly important question. Are you ready to let the world see what you've built? You have the playbook. You know the exact 2026 platforms you need to target. You understand why feeding those AI answer engines is absolutely critical right now, and you know how to completely bypass that 40-hour submission bottleneck. It is time to stop launching to crickets and start launching to eager users. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep building, keep structuring your growth, and I will catch you in the next one.